What's going on, YouTube? Jamal here. I'm back with another edition of Mr. Right, Mr. Wrong. Now, first, I want to start off by saying thank you to everybody who checked out my first video last week. It's my start of my new YouTube channel, Mr. Right, Mr. Wrong. Last week was about fragrances. We reviewed 3 of my top fragrances that I enjoy wearing so far this summer. But this week, it's all about sports. There's a lot going on in the sports world, and I just want to dive right into it. The first thing we want to talk about is my favorite NFL team right now, the Green Bay Packers, and the situation going on with them. So, my guy Aaron Rodgers, man, he's back in camp. I'm glad to see it. I think this is our last year to do something. We've been in the NFC Championship game the last 2 years. First year, I didn't think we really had a shot against the 49ers. That defensive line was a little too much. But last year, I thought we had a shot. Home field advantage in the cold weather. I didn't really think that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers would be able to replicate what they did earlier in the season. But, hats off to them. We made some questionable calls at the end of that game. And, I don't want to live in the past. But this year, I think with the addition of a couple of good draft picks and a couple of big players on our team, we're going to be a lot healthy this year starting the season. Hopefully, when the playoffs come around this year, we'll be even healthier. Last year, we were missing some defensive, some offensive linemen and things like that. So that didn't help us with a defensive line like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, how quick about how I feel about that situation. I mean, I think he deserves to end his career the way he wants. 3 NFL MVPs, 1 Super Bowl to his name, and a lot of people say that that's not enough, 1 Super Bowl. I don't see a lot of you going out there winning Super Bowls. But anyway, I think he deserves that. He's one of the he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's future Hall of Famer, first ballot. He deserves to end his career the way he wants to end his career. So if he wants to do the Tom Brady route and go to another team to try to win a championship, if we can't do it, more power to him. I respect it. The way that the team has treated him has just been disgusting. I mean, don't get me wrong. Don't look at the last 2 years and say, okay, you guys have been in the NFC Championship game. You have talent on the team. It's not just that. It's not just that. It can't just be that. What about the years before that? All those years before that he's wasted of getting us to the NFC Championship game with no defense, with with no offensive skill players, with no running backs. I mean, he was doing a lot of this stuff by himself. So I'm proud to see that he's with us for at least 1 more season. We got a lot of big contracts coming up at the end of this season that we're just in cap hell right now. So we're not going to be able to keep all those guys, and which is fine. I want to see him go out, on a high note. I want to see him win a championship. That would be a great 2021 for me. Would love to see it, and I look forward to all the different things transpiring in camp right now. David Bakhtiari seems to be coming along well. I'm not sure if he's going to start the season, but he seems to be coming along well. Devontae Adams looks like he's ready for another big standout year. Currently, the odds have my guy Aaron Rodgers the 3rd best odd to win the MVP this year. I mean, if he goes back-to-back with MVPs, which I think is not going to happen, I think we got a shot. I think we have a strong shot at winning the chip this year. I think we've learned some lessons. I think another year under his belt and a big stage, Matt LaFleur knows what to expect. He kind of knows what to do. So I'm looking forward to improvement out of him as a coach this year. I'm looking forward to big things from the defense this year. We got some young guys on that defensive line that I think are going to cause some pressure and some havoc. We got a tough schedule this year. We have a schedule of a team that won the Super Bowl, which is crazy. So just fine, you know what I mean? I think we have the team to handle it. We have some tough road games this year. I think we're at Kansas City this year, which is going to be a tough game, which is going to be a really, really tough game. But I look forward to it. I look forward to the excitement. I look forward to the stress that those games will provide. But I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Also, when I talk about boxing, there are some things going on in the boxing world right now that are a little shocking. But you can't always believe everything that you see or hear in the boxing world. Boxing is a fickle game, man. This boxing in this day and age is different from what it was back in the day that we grew up on. It's different from that Tyson era. Like, if you wanted to fight somebody, you fought that person. There's way too many belts going on right now. There's a lot of good fighters, but a lot of them are prima donnas. One of my favorite fighters right now is Errol Spence Jr. Now, biggest fight that could be made in boxing right now is Errol Spence Jr. versus Terrence Crawford. Why we're not getting that fight is it could be on one hand some business, and they could be waiting for him to actually get a little better. Him being Errol Spence Jr. Not sure, but he's my favorite fighter. I love the way he fights. He's exciting. I've been to his fights before. I want to see him, be undisputed at 147 and go up to 154 and cause some damage up there. Now, there has been a tape that leaked on the internet about a sparring session with a guy in his training camp that kind of resembles the motions of Manny Pacquiao. Now, is that sparring tape concerning? Oh yeah, to some people it could be, to watch him getting beat up by this guy. But as you guys know, in boxing and sparring, some people spar different from the way that they fight in the ring. Teofimo Lopez, he gets beat up in the sparring session, but then he goes out in the ring on fight night and he goes to work. You see what he did to Lomachenko, and I don't want to hear nothing about Lomachenko. I don't want to hear nothing about that. I watched that fight. I think Lomachenko was gun shy, and he gave away the first 6 rounds. But whatever. Back to Spence. I don't know. I think he looks like he's in great shape. I think he looks hungry. I like the not doing too much in the media. They're not talking. They're not responding. You see, he's a low-key guy as it is. I like that. Pacquiao's team is probably doing a little bit more talking than Spence's team, which is fine. That's always been how he is. I think this is the biggest fight right now of his career. Some people say, how could that be with a 42, 43-year-old Manny Pacquiao? Because of the name. And Manny Pacquiao, if the Manny Pacquiao that came out of Fort Keith Thurman comes out to fight Errol Spence that night, he's gonna have problems. He's gonna have to figure it out. But I love to see the fight. I want to see it. You can't compare Errol Spence and Floyd Mayweather. I don't want to hear about their sparring session. You can't compare them. They fight 2 different ways. Errol Spence is very flat-footed, whereas Floyd Mayweather is always on his toes. He's always moving. He's always, he's very skilled, and he figures you out quick. So, am I concerned about it? No, not really. I'm not concerned about it. I mean, whatever happens in your training camp, that's what happens in your training camp. Now, what I'm concerned about is maybe this is the first time that footage like that has got leaked, so he might want to take a look at who in his camp or who in PBC let some of this stuff leak out. So that fight is August 21st. It's in Las Vegas. I look forward to seeing that fight. I'm going to be front and center watching that fight. So let's see what else going on in boxing right now. You got your guy Canelo Alvarez. Now, Canelo Alvarez only has 1 loss in his career. But if you take a look at the last 4-5 years of his career, you say, who has he really fought that would give him some trouble? Who has he really fought? Tell me. Give me a name of somebody that he's really fought. And now you look at him, this situation with Plant, the concessions that he wanted from the Plant side, and the things that Caleb Plant gave up, to fight, proves that Caleb Plant really wanted to fight. Some people are saying that Caleb Plant didn't want to fight, it's his fault, and no, it's Canelo being a diva. Canelo thinks he's the Mexican Floyd Mayweather. I'm not here for that. I don't want to see that. I want to see him fight some talent. I want to see him fight that African-American style. Like Caleb Plant has a little bit of that black style, a little bit more of a swag, a little bit more movement. I want to see Canelo Alvarez fight that type of style. We've yet to see that. The last time we saw that was Lara, and he arguably lost that fight. And of course, he fought Mayweather, and he arguably lost every single round of that fight. I don't want to hear you tell me he won a round. Show me where he won a round. Comment down below. Argue with me down below. I'll do it. But I think that, telling somebody, I think the hang up right now in their negotiations was Canelo Alvarez was getting the biggest payday of his career. $40 million, he's gonna fight on PBC, he's getting Mexican TV money, he's getting some Live Gate back-end money, he's getting all different types. Who knows, he could make upwards to $50, $60 million in this fight. And what he wants is, if Caleb Plant, if he gets sick, then Caleb Plant has to wait for him. Caleb Plant can't fight nobody else. But if Caleb Plant gets sick, then he gets to fight whoever PBC puts on the card as a backup right away, and he still gets paid that $40 million plus all those other TV rights and things like that. Nobody's agreeing to that. Nobody's agreeing to that. I don't know who Canelo Alvarez thinks he is, but he ain't that crazy. I mean, he not that crazy. I seen him on the golf course doing a little shadow boxing, fake boxing with, you know, your man Steph Curry, but he ain't that nice. He ain't that nice for PBC to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna give you $40 million for a non-undisputed fighting Caleb Truex or something like that. Man, get out of here. Don't nobody want to hear that. Don't nobody want to see that. Nobody's paying for that. I truly think that Canelo Alvarez is a mirror of who he used to be. I think, don't get me wrong, the skills are still there. The skills are still there. But the way they're moving him, I mean, think about it. He sued the zone so that he could, I don't know, so he can get out, so he have the freedom to fight anywhere. And he was saying that Golden Boy wasn't allowing him to fight these big fights that we wanted to see. I mean, you're still not fighting those big fights. Whatever. Anyway, in my eyes, in my mind, I look at Canelo Alvarez as not the face of boxing. He is not the pound for pound number one guy on the list. Pound for pound number one guy on my list is Terrence Bud Crawford. Is Canelo Alvarez in the top 5? I don't know. Maybe I'll do a video on my pound for pound top 5. We'll see. But I just wanted to give a quick rundown of this week in sports and some of the things that have been on my mind about it. I appreciate you guys for checking out the channel. If you haven't checked out my first video, last week's video of my top 3 summer fragrances that I enjoy wearing right now, please go check that out. Like, tag, share this with somebody you think could use this information. Please subscribe to the channel. Help a brother out. Thank you for visiting the channel. Peace.